James Helder, IFL TV, Inner Sector TK Global. With me, I've got promoter KALLE SAUERLAND. We're here today in central London for the World Boxing Super Series quarter-final. What's that all about?
You wanted me to do that?
Sorry, don't bring me into it.
Have you seen, viewers, have you seen the jacket this man is wearing today? Please. Give me a second, give me a quick second. This is sensational.
I've got to say,
I love a bit of Stone Island. I didn't know Stone Island did them in red. I didn't know they did them in red.
I want to thank Stone Island for the gift set they sent us both.
I tell you,
it's really kind of them.
It's
We
a
do appreciate
sponsorship deal,
it.
isn't it now? It's
just a
MTK,
nice
William Hill and Stone Island present I Film London.
Just a nice present from the people at Stone Island for our hard work.
Has Coogan got one?
He has indeed.
Because I haven't seen Coogan in a while. It's disappeared.
Can't go into that too much. I've got to say, you're looking very Wolf of Wall Street-esque today.
You know me, you know. It's all about the World Boxing Super Series today, James.
Indeed.
You know?
Before we move any further, let's talk a little bit about George Groves and Jamie COX. It's a chance for Jamie COX to get his hands on the WBA Super title, a chance for George Groves to establish supremacy in this tournament as the #1 seed. Break it down for me in your own words.
Well, I think that George did a very good job at breaking down the fight. The fight is about the undisputed #1 in the division at the moment, the super champion. You know, he's beaten other world champions in that weight class. He's come off a sensational performance. He's the man to beat in the division. That's how the tournament started. That's why he's #1 seed. In the red corner, you have the undescript guy from Swindon who's won all his fights, had trouble with the law, been in and out the ring, or in and out the nick, whichever way you want to look at it. But he's a lovely kid, and you know what? He looks like a right hard bastard. So I think this fight could catch fire. This is a little bit like George's entrance towards Carl. You know, the Carl Froch fight. No one knew about George. He was undefeated guy as well. That was his big moment. He stepped up. So George asked him the right questions today for me. And I wasn't expecting him to give answers. It was actually, you can't answer those questions till you've seen it on Saturday. And he asked, can he rise to the occasion? Now, Saturday night, what do we know? We're going to get the biggest light show in the business. We're going to get the biggest platform in the business. We're going out live all around the world, 150 countries plus, live in the States. Can Jamie COX do a George Groves? That's what we're asking, aren't we? So that's a big ask, but boxing is a sport full of big answers. So forget the Chris Eubank semi-final talk for the moment, and I know there's been a lot of talk about visiting football stadiums this week and stuff like that, but ultimately it's about Saturday. It's about two Brits going at it for a lot of money, a lot of prize money, and when I say prize money, I mean money that they don't get unless they win, so it's a lot at stake. And guess what? After the fight, I don't have to tell you, James, when you interview me afterwards, so what next? What's next, Cal? No, I'll tell you what's next. I've signed it. It's all done. It's all done and dusted. We've got our semi-final. We know. I could do a face-to-face in the ring afterwards. Whoever the winner is, they're fighting Chris Eubank, and it's going to be January, February. So we know that. We don't know where it is yet, because we've got to do a little bit of wheeling dealing there, but we will deliver it on the best stage possible.
Let's go back. Let's recap a little bit on Chris Eubank.
So you didn't like that, did you? Because you can't answer me all those questions on Saturday now.
It's
all done.
It's all done. It's all done. I'll settle for an in the
speculation.
I will settle for an in the ring impromptu face off though. That's got to be. Let's recap on Chris Eubank's win at the Yildirim. He's gone into the sort of the Lion's Den a little bit.
Wasn't a Lion's Den. No. This was not a Lion's Den.
Put it into words for the viewers watching.
This was not a Lion's Den. This was, imagine, like Turkish warfare, right? You had a hot fight week. We had to change the hotel. There were, police were closing bars in hotels because there were certain gangs hanging around. There was signs at weigh-ins basically telling him he was going to get killed on Saturday night. Welcome to hell. Reminded me that the Galatasaray days with Leeds and Man U and all that. It was so that sort of set it up. I'm sitting there ringside, and then all of a sudden the gangs start kicking off. And we're not talking, these aren't, with all due respect, these aren't football firms, right? These are, rocker gangs who, they don't really turn up to mess around. It's not like who's wearing more Stone Island. This is about, whose head can I break, right? And it was pretty was pretty intense. You know, as a promoter, I was actually shitting myself because, you know, we had amazing security. They kept me calm. But more importantly, they kept the venue calm. And then guess what? In all this red hot atmosphere, redder than your jacket, James, there was, you know, a parting of these fans, and suddenly, walking down, there's Eubank with the Union Jack on. I'm thinking, no, hold on, mate. He's got me a wind-up, right? He's actually walking out, and the way he was, I've never seen anyone keep their composure. He kept the composure at the weigh-in when there was obviously certain statements made that made the world news. He kept his composure at the weigh-in. He kept his composure all through the fight week. But guess what? When he walked down through these, it reminded me, actually, you know what it reminded me of? You know the film Gladiator, when they got walked through out the pits. He just like walks through and slices through it like butter. So I don't give a shit. It's like, all he's looking at is the ring. And I'm just thinking, bloody hell, this guy's got a pair of cojones on him. And he gets in the ring. And guess what? First round, he goes straight at him. You know, 9 uppercuts, 10 uppercuts, he puts him down. Second round, he doesn't, you know, for me, he gave up the second round. He didn't win the second round in my eyes. He just looked at him. But every time he looked at him, it was like it was like Eubank Senior used to do outside the ring, you know, when he sort of faced off with the opponent and sort of did that, you know, the glove thing outside the ring. Well, he was doing it with him in the ring. That was the difference. And in the third round, well, you know, he opened up, he took some punches, and then he ended it with something that I think was boxing poetry, you know. So he broke through on Saturday night for me. I think he was a breakthrough fight. It set the tournament on absolute fire. 900 degrees, sensational. So of course, you know, it's almost a little bit over now to George, which does that put George under pressure? Does that give Jamie Cox his opening? You know, it throws up all these questions, and that's what I told you. Remember the first press conference? I said that. I said this tournament will throw up questions. It will throw up storylines, and guess what? They haven't even fought yet. So we're just at the quarterfinals. Wait till we've got the semi-finals going and the final going. And we've got one Brit definitely secured in that final, the super middleweights.
Now, I know you would have rated Eubank before the tournament, otherwise he wouldn't have been placed into the sort of the draw, the seeded draw. But has he gone up in your estimation since Saturday's performance and the way he conducted himself, especially with the likes of your man Amit Honor running about and whatever else was going on during the fight?
Amit's an old pal. But let me he's a very temperamental man, but his heart's in the right place. Eubank went up. Look, listen, we did the deal. Was involved in the deal, me and my brother together with Roberto, the CEO at the World Boxing Super Series. We'd done a deal to put Eubank in the tournament. So I went, you know, it was a 48-hour deal. It was actually a pretty quick deal, from what I've heard about Eubank's dealings otherwise. And we did it with Senior. And do you know what? Senior is an amazing guy to talk to because he's been there and done it. We could say all you want about Senior this, Senior that, but you know what? He's been there and done it, you know? So you can't really knock that. But of course, you also always get the feeling, well, he's you know, I would sell my son in the same way. I'd also put him on a pedestal. That's what every father does. So you've got to, you know, you're sort of questioning, well, you know, I know, but he's your son, mate, you know? Well, on Saturday, well, those questions are really answered, aren't they? You know, I mean, he really, you know, he went into hell, and he came out with the goods. You know, he did a snatch and grab, you know, but in the finest of fashions. And like I said, there wasn't an emotion show. The part that gets to me is it wasn't like he jumped up around the ring. You know, I know there was a just like standing there. You know, it's just there was no. I mean, I would have gone absolutely mental. I would have been doing somersaults. I don't know. I forget he pushed the number girls out the way. I don't know. I'd be dancing around with the number girls all night after that. You know, I mean, you know, it would have been sensational. It would have been party time. But you know, no, it was just cold as ice. And then he goes at the press conference. He goes, "I'll be in the gym the next morning." Fuck me, I'll be doing other things the next morning. But you know, that is. Listen, it's cracking. I think the kid's amazing. I think, you know, the whole storyline's amazing, and it fits perfectly to the tournament. And you know, it's very, very interesting semi-finalist.
How are you finding going to country with this thing? How logistically has it been for you and the team?
It's like a rock and roll tour, you know. You know, front man of the rock and roll band. You know, no, I'm joking. It's no, it's you know, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. It's a challenge, especially, you know, joking aside, I have got a family as well. So, you know, it's like a lot of time away. So 8 weeks, but you know what? We're doing what we love. So, you know, could be an out of work promoter, you know. So I'm very happy with what's going on. I think the tournament is exciting. It's going to get more exciting, you know. I think it's going to, like, you know, especially for like social media and things. That's what you do, innit? Social media. So, you know, like, the storylines it throws out. I'm not really a social media guy. I just did my first Q&A on Twitter the other day. I was quite happy with that. And, you know, I'm going to try and do a few more of them because I noticed there's an interaction, you know, and I see interaction in the tournament. I see the storylines come from the tournament, but we haven't started. You know, we've just completed the 5th event. But coming back to your question, I'm rambling on here. Coming back to your question, it's a challenge. It's a challenge. We've got a huge team. We're travelling around. There's 120 crew. It is, when I said rock and roll tour, I wasn't joking. It is like they load everything up into a bus. Like this stage is exactly the same stage you saw in Stuttgart last week. You know, it's the same stage you'll see next weekend in New York or in New Jersey. So, you know, it keeps on going and going. You know, so it's great. It's great. Good fun.
The cruiserweights has caught a light as well. We saw Unir Dorticus, a great win against Kudrashov to book his place in the next round. What cruiserweight fight left are you looking forward to? What's exciting you?
Well, I think everyone's going to be looking at Gassiev next week in New Jersey. You know, Gassiev for me is the underscript one in the seeds. You know, he's one mean-looking dude.
Sanchez rates Murat Gassiev very highly as well.
Yeah, and Sanchez is someone I've got a lot of time for, and I listen to his opinion highly. And you know, he's boxed actually on a show of ours in Germany a few years ago, and he was sensational. Wanted to sign him. He wanted far too much money at the time. You know, and went off to America, and he's, you know, did a job on Lebedev. You know, he's who's another tough cookie. It's a tough weight class, you know, and people who just say Usyk's going to win, well, you know what? I don't know. Did you see the Dorticos fight? Is my answer. Did you see? How can you say this? How can you say? I mean, Usyk was sensational, but how can you just say that Usyk is going to win the tournament if you haven't seen Dorticos? We haven't seen Gassiev fight yet. You know, so. You know, Bravis, yes, there's a lot of talk about the referee. Yeah, the referee was crap. You know, 100%. It should have been much stronger early in the fight, taking points earlier in the fight. Yeah. But to be fair, the referee was a very difficult fight to ref. You know, they were both holding and looking and land that one shot. I felt that fight could turn on a punch till the last second, actually. Bravis against Perez, I'm talking about. So, you know, I think it's the best against the best. When you do that, James, normally you come out a winner.
Would you, in the future, consider doing preliminary regional rounds to find a fighter from each country in each division who then entered the tournament through a wild card system?
You've got access to my emails. No, it's a good one. We thought about fight-offs, and it's part of, let's say, the longer look on things. Listen, mate, we announced this in March. There's people twittering me, twittering, whatever you call it, twittering me, saying you haven't got TV deal in the UK. No, mate, sorry, we ain't got a TV deal in the UK. It's not, you know, funny enough, you can't really sell TV deals for tournaments without knowing who's in the tournament. I don't know too many broadcasters called ITV that would buy it off me without knowing. So it was sort of a little bit of a factor of time, and I had to sign the guys before I did a TV deal. So some people who, you know, they've got to get real on things, you know, and I think we've done a great job in this amount of time. Give us a year, you'll see. You know, I mean, we're going to go more weight classes. Look at a female weight class potentially. We'll look at also at definitely leading in the fight-offs will combine with the finals eventually to bring you to the Monaco draw, like, which you enjoyed so much, James.
That was great.
Yeah. For the next year.
Save all your
that
pennies.
won't happen now from season 1 to season 2.
All your pennies. We just want a heavyweight version. That's the one. That could be potentially the one.
I've got this little thing here, you know. Everyone just put a penny in here, and we'll raise it. No, I mean, that joking aside, that is, of course, we didn't get Ali as our ambassador not to eventually do the heavyweight. So we'll have to do it. I think if you look at it at the moment, with obviously with Joshua,
Who would just six be then?
Fury, Joshua, Parker, Wilder, Hrgovic, who's just he's just fought one pro fight, but wait, you'll see what I mean. He's ready for the world title fight now, and you know, obviously we'll see what KUBRAT does, you know, in a couple of weeks. There's a lot of heavyweights coming through as well, yeah. A lot of heavyweights coming through. This Dubois kid here, I saw him training in George's old gym, and he's good. He's real good. He's real good. Amazing, you know. Listen, there's lots of heavyweight talent knocking about, you know, and real heavyweight talent, not can I tell you it's heavyweight talent. I'm talking real heavyweight talent, you know, heavyweight talent that. But you know what? You know what the interesting thing is? They can all beat each other, you know, and it's not. This is 10 years of domination, and you know, no. This is about winning and losing, and this is about having a fight and having a tear up, and occasionally you lose a tear up. That is even the best lose, you know, and that's what makes it exciting. That's what for me makes Joshua exciting.
Quick word on Joshua KUBRAT PULEV. Big chance.
Leading into that.
Big chance for your man to really dethrone Anthony Joshua and get himself at the top table. Thoughts on KUBRAT PULEV's chance of being successful against Anthony Joshua?
Huge. In one word. Say right, he's just trying to help his buddy sell pay-per-views. No rubbish. Just go and have a look at. You've got to look at the facts when you look at fights. You look at not the words, not how it's sold to you by the TV network, not by the promoters, not what the boxers say. Go and look at the facts. You've got a great new young champion whose strengths are very clear. His strengths, just need to look at him at a weigh-in and see what his strengths are. He's amazingly strong, amazingly fast, amazingly athletic, right? What are his weaknesses? Well, his weaknesses are just really his record. I don't know. How many professional rounds has he boxed? Certainly not many. Certainly not many. That obviously speaks for his strengths as well, but it's also his weakness. You know, it's his weakness in that he's inexperienced. He's inexperienced as a pro. So I say, okay, you know what? He's inexperienced as a pro. I'll go back and look at his amateur record. Well, his amateur record. Well, guess what? He's 40 fights. It's not much that I can take from there in experience. So his weaknesses, as well as his strengths, he wears on his sleeve, you know. And I think Anthony's actually a very straight-up guy because he says he's learning on the job, and I totally agree. I would have loved KUBRAT to have fought him before the Klitschko fight because I don't think he'll gas again like that. I don't think he'll out-punch himself again like that. Has he generally got a stamina issue? I would look at him and say probably.
I think that's because he's so muscular.
Well, no, but I was just about to say, probably because the strengths also your weaknesses. You know, he's built like the Titanic. You know, well, the Titanic went down. Maybe that's the wrong word. And he's built like Adonis. You know, he's built like Hercules. But at the same time, Hercules, for over 36 minutes, that's a long time to be carrying that sort of muscle around when you're being tested. Now, there's biggest issue is that most people are not going to get to see 36 minutes with Anthony. So KUBRAT's job, he can absolutely. And people will say, well, we got knocked out by Klitschko. Well, you know what? Go and have a look at that Klitschko fight. First of all, Klitschko, he had a trainer in the corner who was an amateur trainer. There was no tactic in the fight. In fact, he admits himself he didn't listen to anyone. He went in for a tear-up, which was completely different to the KUBRAT you saw in all his other fights. It almost pulled off because he wobbled Klitschko very, very clearly before he got absolutely whacked himself. Fair enough. He went in, did a kamikaze. If you look at the Klitschko reaction in the corner after that fight and compare that to other fights where they've won, it looks like they've just won, I don't know, the undisputed heavyweight championship of the world 5 times over. I mean, they literally look like they've just, you know, on the Euro billions. The whole corner erupts like I've never seen before. Why? Because they knew what KUBRAT PULEV, the dangers. You know, they know the dangers of KUBRAT PULEV. Pulev is someone who loves to fight a bigger guy, hates fighting smaller guys, loves a bigger guy. And look at the big guys he's fought: Ustinov, he's fought Tony Thompson, Dimitrenko, when Dimitrenko was still, up there. So, I don't put any of them, by the way, into Anthony's category. So he's got to step up as well. Yeah? But let's not make. I'm not going to put down April 27th, 28th for 1 second, Wembley Stadium. Amazing night for boxing. Huge advert for boxing. Everyone in the sport, from ourselves to grassroots promoters, to grassroots fighters, to kids who are thinking about picking up the sport, that night was huge for boxing. But now let me analyse this with the hardcore. Right? We had a young heavyweight champion, inexperienced by his own admissions. We had a guy who was declining in his career, without any doubt. He lost his last fight, almost by a shutout to Tyson Fury. Fight before that, Bryant Jennings, who was also very much on the way down. So, in the end, he had this, this Wladimir Klitschko who was, let's say, past his prime a little, but it was still made it for a great fight because Anthony says he's learning by his own admissions. 5th round, he almost puts him away. He gasses. He should have been put out. Klitschko should have finished him. There's no question about that. I think every expert can see that. Anthony did a great escape and ended up winning the fight. Will he be able to escape like that if that situation arises? There's not a chance in hell that KUBRAT PULEV is going to let him off the hook.
Will Pulev finish him? Do you think
it will be like a rabbit in the headlights of a 50-ton truck going 120 miles an hour? No, absolutely not. But I think any expert would, they're not going to argue with me on that. Klitschko should have finished him. Klitschko didn't have it in the tank to finish him. Klitschko also is the wrong side of 40. We know that, It's not taking away the storyline of that night. That storyline of that night was a Rocky film. It was a Rocky film, but this is not a Rocky film. This is KUBRAT PULEV, a Bulgarian from the streets of Sofia. Right? This is not, it's not about USB chips in his boxing robes. KUBRAT doesn't know what a USB chip is. I think he does other things with USB chips. And let me tell you something. He's in for a rough night. I'm not saying that we're the favourites. I'm just saying it's going to be a rough night. It's not North London. Streets of Sofia that come into the ring, right? There's a difference. I grew up in North London. I grew up around where Anthony grew up.
Watford?
No, was he North Finchley? I thought it was North Finchley.
Oh my God.
I was training in North Finchley. So it's not too far from where I grew up. So, at the end of the day, this is Sofia that's coming to Cardiff, and not Wladimir with his Rolls Royce.
Any way you try to word it, no one's ever going to believe you were from the hood. On that note, Kalle Sauerland, thank you very much.
I didn't say I was from Sofia.
You're going on like you're from Stonebridge Park. Kalle Sauerland, thank you very much for coming to IFL TV. Great to get you on the channel, sir.
Lovely to see you, James.
You a great way. Thank you very much.
Nice one, mate.
Cheers, mate.